So I have North Carolina ranked third in the top 25 and one. And North Carolina fans every day tell me I'm crazy. Am I crazy? Is that too high?
All right. So to be clear, I haven't gone about thinking about ranking the teams yet. I try and save that for deeper into the off season. Can you recap, if you can remember, like the journey UNC has gone on here? You've always had RJ Davis projected to return. So have they been 3, 4, and 5 since the day after the title game?
They've been around in that range the entire time. At one point, I had Harrison Ingram projected back. Now I have him gone, but they did add Cade Tyson, the transfer from Belmont. That's a guy who averaged 16.2 points per game this past season for your Bruins. Shot 46.5% from three. So, yeah, like I'm not saying it's a even swap, but like they added somebody. They added a real player through the transfer portal. They bring back Elliot Cadeau. He's going to be a sophomore who started. I know people don't love him. He did start 31 games as a freshman for a team that was a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. RJ Davis might be the preseason national player of the year. So there's your 2 starting guards. All right.
Yep.
Ian Jackson's a top 10 player in the class of 2024. We used to get excited about those guys,
Well, and he might be a player. By the way, Nada, can we put up a poll real quick from now to the end of the show? UNC should be 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, or 16 or lower. Let's see what the audience has here. But continue. Ian Jackson, who else we got?
Okay, so then you got Ian Jackson, Cade Tyson there. There's some thought that even Cade could slide over to the 4. I'll let Hubert Davis figure out his rotations. But
actually, I think you should be consulting him on his rotations.
I will consult. I will make North Carolina's lineup.
You've got North Carolina ranked higher than Hubert Davis, so I think maybe you should be.
I probably do. And so 1, 2, 3, I'm excited about that. You get some questions, I can admit, at the 4, 5. If you're going Jalen Withers, he's a 5th year player, averaged 12 minutes per game this past season for a team, again, that was a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. He's a 4-star recruit in the class of 2019, initially signed with Louisville. So not the most productive player, but he was in the rotation for a 1 seed last season. And then Jalen Washington's a 3rd-year player, only played 8.4 minutes per game last season for a 1 seed. But here's the deal with him, because people are like, they got nothing in the front court. Well, they have nothing in the front court because you ain't really seen it that much, because they had Armando Bacot in the front court for the past 4 decades. All right. So when you have Bacot eating up all those minutes and those rebounds, it's hard for anybody else to get much production or even minutes in the front court. I'm not saying that, the breakthrough player of the year in college basketball resides in Chapel Hill, but I'm not as troubled by the front court as some North Carolina fans seem to be. I just look at that and I say, sure, I think Kansas should be ahead of them, and I got Houston ahead of them. And there's a scenario where Mark Sears announces he's coming back to school, and I'll get Alabama ahead of him too. But I genuinely don't think it's crazy to have North Carolina in the top 5. But I am struck by how crazy some North Carolina fans seem to believe that it is.
I gotta just check my driveway real quick here. Can you give our vamp for like 15 seconds? Can you give a couple more examples here to our audience about what kind of responses and why you think Carolina fans have such a huge issue with where you've been ranking them?
It's all the front court. It's always like, we don't even have anybody who plays in the front court. And I'm like, but you do. You don't have Armando Bacot back or anybody as established and proven as that. But you do have people who play in the front court, and I suspect they'll be better than you think. God, I hope so.
No, I hope so as well. Apologies. Did you hear the truck backing up or no? Did you hear the beep beeps?
I never heard a truck.
Okay, I muted my mic there for a second there. We finally are repairing. Finally, we're gonna do it in 2020. Then you might have heard we had a pandemic. We've waited 4 years to finally repair our deck, and of course, this was supposed to get dropped off yesterday, and then this huge. And now my dog is barking right when we're podcasting. Incredible. All right, Carolina. I think some of the issue is that they want another big man in the portal. They want to get another person that is a real impact player, and maybe Carolina is going to get that. I know they're still trying to recruit Ugonna Onyenso from Kentucky, who would be like a good piece, 7-footer, and maybe maybe he's a Tar Heel. If not, if Coleman Hawkins doesn't go pro, which feels 50-50-ish, Coleman Hawkins is considering Carolina along with a handful of other schools. I think Arkansas is in there. Louisville was in there. So maybe you get if you get Hawkins or Onyenso, then forget about it. I think Carolina fans would be with you on that, but they don't have them at the timing of this podcast. So we'll just operate. They don't have those pieces just yet. And just does Carolina register fairly as a top 5 team with the roster that it currently has? I think it's probably pretty close, although I'll bring up a freshman that I think Drake Powell is going to be. I saw him multiple times as a recruit. Ian Jackson's like he's slightly more highly rated, and he'll thrive with the ball in his hands. I'm interested to see how Ian Jackson learns from RJ Davis and how those guys play in tandem. I think that's going to be really exciting. I think Elliot Cadeau, I think he will blossom into a wonderful second-year player. I'm very, very in on him and the Jalen's, Washington and Withers. I just like the pieces, and I think Powell will be a plug-and-play role player that is going to be a very positive, productive freshman on a Carolina team that's obviously going to be loaded with veteran play. So I side with you, Parrish, on this. I mean, to expect RJ Davis to have a repeat first-team All-American type season might be asking to clear too high of a bar. Oh, I only say that because he's someone who was not going to get a real look at being drafted, and he's a smaller guard. He's going to have a lot of talent around him, and I think he's going to willingly share the sugar for the benefit of his teammates. And Cade Tyson, who was a 16-point-a-game guy at Belmont, I think he'll be an impact player there. So I still think RJ Davis has a great shot at being an All-American. Don't get me wrong here. Well, he was a top 4 player of impact last season. Will he be that again? I'm not convinced, but I do think that he'll be the most important player on this Carolina team, and him repeating another really, really, really good season will give UNC a great chance at being a top 2 team in the ACC. Whether it's UNC or Duke remains up for debate. I can't wait to see how that plays out. But it is fascinating to see how UNC fans push back on this. I personally think that a lot of it has to do with not having that final transfer bid because they've been waiting on it. They lost out on a few other guys. They were in there on Jonas Adu, who ultimately went to Arkansas with a few others there. Do they get Onyenso? Do they get Hawkins? Those are 2 very different players. You could argue with who they have on the roster already that Onyenso would be the better piece. I'd actually buy that. Hawkins is the better player, but Onyenso probably gives you more to round out the roster. Again, we'll have to see if they get either of those guys. If they do, even the most cynical of Carolina fans, and I don't know why they're veering into this territory. By the way, this feels outside their typical disposition there. You couldn't fight back on the fact that UNC would be a preseason top 5 team with one more key addition. The question is, do they get it? And will we have it in the next 24, 48, 72 hours? So if it's Hawkins, you won't get that. Hawkins has taken it to the end of the deadline there. On Yenso, I think I would expect you'd have a decision either way on where he's going by, I don't know, next Monday or Tuesday at the latest. So yeah.
Now I've got myself in a situation where I got to spend all this year rooting for North Carolina just for me. Now I'm emotionally invested in the Tar Heels. I might trade in my Boilermaker card and become a Tar Heel. I might be a Tar Heel next season. In addition of, obviously, needless to say, in addition to being a Sun Devil.
Yeah. I know you have a couple of those every single year, and then obviously you root against Marquette, as people know. That's been long established on the pod. A couple of folks in the chat are saying that they don't think Carolina has depth. I would disagree. I think Davis, Cadeau, Trimble, Withers, Washington, Tyson, Jackson, Powell all get serious minutes. And in addition to, we'll see if Zayden High winds up being an impact player or not. But yeah, they lose Ingram, they lose Baycott. Those are big losses. Cormac Ryan obviously had a couple of huge moments there, but I think the roster I think it's close to what it was last year. Last season's team was a 1 seed. If you had me guess right now, will UNC be a 1 seed in 25? I'd say no, but I like their chances to be a 2. I take them to have a better chance as a 2 seed than say a 4 seed for sure. I'd lean more in on that. Questions will be, will Davis be able to replicate much of his senior season? And then will Jackson and Powell combined to be the best 1-2 freshman punch in the country, not at Duke. I think they've got a good chance. I'm way in on Powell. Jackson's really good. I think Powell will be a more valuable player for Carolina next season, even if his role will be different from what Jackson is.
I don't know that they're the deepest team in the country, but they have enough depth. I mean, how many you really need? I mean, they're going to have a 5-star top 15 prospect coming off their bench, right? I mean, I'm a believer. I'm a Tar Heel. You ever been to the Dean Smith Center and they got that video they play? They got that video they play.
Yeah, I'm a Tar Heel. Yeah,
everybody's like, it's like James Worthy. He's like, I'm a Tar Heel.
Yeah,
and then it's like Larry Brown. I'm a Tar Heel. And then it's like Michael Jordan.
He's the last one.
What if I can get in that video?
You can't.
They can put me in there.
Yeah, they won't. I assure you,
they
will not.
Fast forward to the first Duke Carolina game of the season. North Carolina's ranked number 1 in the country, and it goes straight from Tyler Hansborough to me. Tyler Hansborough says, I'm a Tar Heel. And then it comes to me, and everybody's like, who is this? What's going on?
He's got a Mr. Met on and Mr. Met hat on. And you think that's a Dare shirt. That's a Kendrick Lamar Damn shirt that GP's wearing right now, by the way. If you're listening and not watching, go find it. But yeah, in that exact garb. Yeah, just say it right now. Yeah. We'll cut it. We'll send it to you. Go ahead.
Cut it and send it. Okay, let me count me in.
All right, I'll count you. Okay. No, actually, Nada, you count him in.
Nada, count me in.
Can I, before I count you in, can I ask one question about this?
Please.
Weren't you the same guy that like last year was like, do it for Terquavion?
Oh, yeah, he was. That's right.
And a Tar Heel at the same time.
I can. I'm not loyal. I'm not loyal in that way. I can be a Wolfpack 1 minute, a Sun Devil the next, a Boilermaker. I can just bounce wherever I need to bounce.
Sun Devil.
Yeah.
Look at me. I'm a Sun Devil.
I can't wait to be a Sun Devil again.
All right. Well, nevertheless, not a count him in.
Come in.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
I'm a Tar Heel. I didn't feel like I nailed that one. Let's do it again. Count me back in.
3, 2.
I was wrong. 1. I'm a Tar Heel. I don't feel like I'm nailing it. Give me one more time.
You don't have it.
Yeah, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not.
I think that's what we just learned.
Okay, give me one more shot at this.
3, 2, 1.
I'm Gary Parrish, and I'm a Tar Heel. How's that?
It's your best one yet, but no, it's not gonna happen there. But we have our first major subplot of the offseason on the pod with GP's rankings. 23 of them, by the way. 23. Will we get to someone that listens to the show? Find us the last show before the season starts. I'm setting the over-under. See, a lot of the transfer stuff is done. I'll set the over-under at 31.5 versions of the offseason top 25 at 1. Are you going over-under?
I'll go over, but it's going to be around that. It's starting to slow down. Most of the things that could impact the rankings, which would be roster changes, most of that's done. Not all of it, obviously, but most of it.
31.5. I'm going to go. That's 8 more, though. You know what? I'll go under. I want it under for your sake. I want it under.
No,
I want it under for your sake. 23 on May 22nd. It's outrageous.
It is.
Any other notes on your rankings we should talk about?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? People are asking for a poll update. Nada, what is the response right now on this? Just we are buzzing on a Wednesday morning live show.
We are 6 to 10 is winning the poll at 43%. 10 to 15 is next with 29%. 16 or lower, 19%. 1 to 5, 10%.
Those people aren't Tar Heels. I'm a Tar Heel. I'm Gary Parrish, and I'm a Tar Heel.